This is the Sioux City Musketeers Coaches Show. Now here's your host, Curtis Anderson.
I see you, Nelly. The Musketeer Coaches Show is right here at Bob Rose Point After, where good times gather. Also brought to you by Johnny Mars, and then brought to you as well by Knife River Midwest. Curtis Anderson with you, along with the head coach of the Sioux City Musketeers. That would be Jason Kersner. The Musketeers, 2 wins, 2 nights, much needed. Feel good outside of that. Before we even talk about these games, you might get a complex if you outchance another team and not get a win.
Well, I'm sure it'll happen again, but hopefully not,
Not for a
anytime
while.
soon. But yeah, no, it was certainly the Tri-City game. We felt like it was a really good kind of complete effort, and it was nice to finally get over the hump.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Goals were scored, 29 shots to 16 shots. Of course, we still couldn't find the power play because you guys only averaged 2 power plays a game, which is strange to me.
And in that game, they were. We'll take the responsibility and blame for that. But they were both less than a minute because we
gave it right back.
We gave it right back with penalties. So in that entire game, we spent less than 2 minutes on the power play.
Absolutely, because one was 50 seconds, one was but another number 0 for 6 on the power play for Tri-City is. We'll start with this game. That's a great number, and by the way, giving up 16 shots. Okay, that means they had less than 16 scoring chances.
Yeah, they did not have many in that game.
Mm.
We that was really a complete effort to be able to give up that few chances and shots. Obviously, you need a lot of puck possession time like that, but to the things that you're talking about as it relates to our identity, we really did reload. We skated, we checked with our legs, we turned pucks over, we took care of the puck. I think that was the least amount of scoring chances in a game that I've been a part of, maybe ever.
It sure was there. I mean, a total of 2 shots given up in the second period.
Yeah.
Well, let's start on another different positive. Zuger and Scholl get their first goals of the season. And by the way, 5 different goal scorers.
Yep. Well, I think the 5 different scorers kind of relates just to what a great team effort it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
It really was. We use that term relentless, and that's what it was. We did all 4 lines, all 8D that were playing. Everyone was able to kind of get on the ice, get minutes, get touches, and there wasn't much of a drop off. Like it didn't matter which line we sent out there. Everybody was kind of playing for each other and bringing that hard, fast, relentless identity that we're looking for. And it's nice that when everyone's doing it, that everyone got rewarded and got on the score sheet.
Yeah, whether it's assists or goals or what have you, and get that first goal. I know that can be a thing, because these guys, some of these guys have played junior hockey before, but some of these guys will be coming into this league and going, well, I've already should have had like 20 points by, they dominate, and then they come here and go, this is so difficult, and then sometimes that brain will get in the way of playing it natural.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. This is a hard league to score in.
Yeah.
And
it looks like you could cut them in half from league up to league up.
For sure. And to your point, like, unless you've been around, like, it can add to some frustration. So, but I do think, we talked a lot. We talked about it last week, and then getting into the weekend, we talked with the team about that kind of pound the stone mindset. And I thought I really liked our resilience as a group last week after the frustrating 2 overtime losses, to come back and to have a good week of practice and then carry that energy into the weekend.
So you're up 2-0. They come back, obviously, cut the lead in half, and then don't you just love goals scored for at the end of periods? 18:23 mark, and then the 19:15 mark, and that was a big dagger, that Kessler one, where he intercepted that pass and just buried it.
Yeah, the Kessler one was big because you know how we've seen, and we'll get to like that Sioux Falls game, right? Those leads can evaporate quickly at times. So I think getting to the locker room, with that extra goal, or sometimes, as you got to just get to the room with where you're at. You don't want to give one up in those last couple of minutes,
That's
right?
when I'm always nervous because
Yeah,
giving one up, it just seems so.
yeah. Part of your game manager, and we talk about that, is get to the room. Let's get to the room.
I'm looking at clock. I'm sitting there doing play-by-play going, okay, it's still 7 seconds.
Yeah.
Still 5.
Yeah. So, but that Kessler goal, that was big because, if you're trying to get to the room and try to keep it kind of
A
within
1-goal game.
Yeah, try to keep it within striking distance, and that ended up being a big goal for us.
Yeah, of course. So then we go into the third period, and of course you have to challenge yourself by taking a few penalties.
Yeah.
And then that picked up the pace for Try a little.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, not the way you would draw it up with.
They weren't going to pull their goalie until they got that one.
Yeah. And in terms of like just managing the game and staying out of the box and not giving them life, we still weren't giving up a ton. And you made the point the penalty kill was doing an excellent job for us. But again, that's kind of still part of our growth. And I think for us still at that point, having not won a game, you're still trying to kind of learn the process of winning. Winning is a skill. And it can become a habit. So, I think we'll look at both of these games and say, hey, there's some game management, some things we can do a little bit better to try to increase our odds of closing out successfully. But, we to your point, we have the big kill. We get the big empty net goal, and we do just enough to kind of get over the hump and get the first win.
Ryan Conley's goal, that empty shorty. I mean, the one thing about being shorthanded at the time is you can ice the puck, but there was no doubt off his stick.
Yeah.
It was middle of the net. I'm like, oh, thank goodness. Because Havoc you got a minute and a half left. Havoc's going on.
Yeah. No, I mean, and hey, we saw what happened in the Sioux Falls one. It wasn't so easy to kind of close it out at the end. So, the extra skaters make a difference, and to be able to right off the face-off kind of grab possession and kind of put the dagger in was big.
Yeah, it was. And it's interesting. Obviously, you're trying to find a lineup and who's working with who and who. Well, actually, healthy too. By the way, we'll get to that. It's kind of sticking a little bit. Those two games that got used to each other, Poitras with Deckut and Duran. I think it's a Deckut-Duran combination, right?
I mean,
or do you want to shake them up sometimes? Or I ask you, what do you want to do?
Well, so a couple things. Yeah, and you addressed it. One, it's early. You're still trying to find right combinations. That's A. B, injuries. And that, whether they're serious long-term ones or just, the guy's dinged up, and so there's that. And then obviously, like any sport, you want to try to go a little bit with the hot hand, and that can change at different times. There's ebbs and flows to obviously a team, but also to individuals. So trying to be kind of cognizant of that matters. But I think when you think about lines as a coach, you generally try to think of them in twos. So I would really agree with what you said there. Deckut and Duran, they're players that have been here, that have played together, had success together in the past.
It's helped other people too.
They're drivers, and so trying to find, I think there will probably be times when we do separate them for various reasons throughout the year, but they make a lot of sense playing together, and then it's about just trying to find the right fit with them. And to your point, we were happy. I think they played together both this weekend. I think we did it in the maybe it was the Fargo game at home. It was one other home game, so this would be the third. Now 3 games that Poitras has played with them, and we've been happy with that group. So I'm sure it'll be one that sticks together at least for a little bit longer.
Well, and you can be happy on Saturday. You're happy with your left wing, Poitras, Shahan, Godbout,
for sure.
I mean, they score in different fashions, but I was like, well, wait a minute, they keep putting up the goals. That was a harder matchup, I guess, a more even matchup. You knew Sioux Falls was very talented forward-wise, but to pick up a goal and then that Shahan goal at the end of the first period, monstrous has to be.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Sioux Falls, give them a lot of credit. They're, to your point, forward group, very strong. And, okay, we feel like we have 4 good lines and we can play that, but so do they. and they did a nice job. They had changed their lines coming off a loss, and they had really balanced their lineup. So we were looking at it like which one of these? It really felt like any one of those lines could be dangerous. So it really was a nice kind of 5-on-5, 4-line game from both teams. To your point, it was a very even matchup. Could have gone either way. Obviously, it was great to get off to a good start, and that, as you mentioned earlier, scoring the first goal. There's some real kind of positives to the team. We have ourselves slightly out shooting them, slightly out chancing them, but really kind of a very even game that could have gone either way. So the good start, and I think forcing them to play catch up the whole game was definitely a big factor. So those goals that you mentioned were big.
Staying disciplined was obviously a factor. We talked about it before. 45% on the power play going into it. Understand it's early.
Yep.
But they did get one in the third period. It was a rollover from period 2, and I'm thinking for momentum wise, although you gave up the power play in the third period, ending a period, if they would have scored on a power play, could have really been a big factor.
Yeah,
too.
for sure. I mean, for us, the biggest thing there, again, back to game management is, and you go back on video, I'm not going to sit here and say that it was the best call I've ever seen, but, we take a penalty under a minute to go against the best power play in the league, literally 200 feet from our net, right? It was behind their net. So those are the things with, the young players, the young team that we got to work on, because you have a 3-0 lead. We just said it. Get to the room. Let's get there 3-0. Let's get there penalty free. Kind of recollect ourselves with a 3-goal lead. Have 20 minutes to make any adjustments we need to, and come out and finish. And to give them that power play opportunity on fresh ice. That's where we got to be better.
They found one.
Yep.
Rude's a good player. He got it through. They scored less than a minute later. And okay, see, this is kind of interesting, I guess. And what do you say on your bench? Okay, so Clint Levens, he's the bad boy of the team. We all know it. He knows it, all that stuff. He had an throw at the net, and it found the back of the net.
Yep.
He decided to do a little drive-by in front of your boys and just kind of stare down everyone as he's coming by. You have to calm that down, because he's trying to change the atmosphere of this game.
Yep.
Scoring a goal is part of it, and the other part is the drive-by. How do you keep your cool? What do you say at that time?
Well, we don't talk about the other team. So, listen, he's an effective player, as you mentioned, and he has a role, and he's been in the league, and he does a good job of trying to impact the game in his own way.
But maybe you even say, hey, we got to stay disciplined.
Yeah.
I don't know, because obviously they went on power plays.
Yeah. For us, it was obviously, like you said, a reminder of, we felt like we were the better team 5-on-5 up until that point. And, we had kind of, they score back to back, we collect ourselves. And honestly, what we were saying was, it's a good test for us. And, we're playing a good team. It's a 1-goal game. If I would have told the guys coming in that, hey, with 18 minutes to go, we'd be in the third period with a 1-goal lead, would you take it? Of course they would have. So nothing changes. Perspective-wise, we're in a good spot. We feel like we can be the better team 5-on-5. Great test against a good team. So I think for us, that was what it was about. It was like, hey, let's respond now. Let's push back and see if we can't take over the game. And I think there were some moments in there that we gave up. Again, they're good. So I think we gave up a chance or two that we'd probably like to have back. But overall, I was really happy with our guys' effort to be able to kind of stay on the same page and recollect themselves after giving up the 2 quick ones and do right longer to finish the game.
You play more conservative or more conservative in your zone about clearing pucks, protect. There's a difference between protecting a league and then going dormant or, on offense.
Certainly not at that point. Long game with 18 and then change.
Yeah, well, let's go in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, last 5 minutes. I think we talked about this one time, and I think you would say this in any sport. The clock becomes your best coach, right? The decisions that you make with 18 minutes to go and
play the glass out,
and 2 minutes to go in the period are different, right? And I think there's no different than you would say that in basketball. You would say that in football, right? Like down and distance and time. Those things drive decisions for players, right? And if we're in field goal range and it's third and long, like I'm just not going to just try to force one in there. I'll throw it away and we'll take our 3 points and move on, right? So now if we're trailing or it's earlier in the game, we might make a different decision. So I just think that in all sports that the time and score, the clock matters, and that had been part of our. We can go back to the penalty at the end of the second period. That's part of if that same penalty happens at the 12-minute mark, we might tell the guy, hey, like we're 200 feet from our net, let's be extra careful. But it's that much more hurtful with 45 seconds to go in a period, right? So that's game management. That's hockey IQ when you hear that term. And those are areas that we need to, continue to work with the group on.
Under 5 minutes and a 1-goal lead, you probably don't want 5 guys below their dots, right?
No, we don't.
I just remember but it was a learning process last year. You know what I mean? And I remember like the meeting after or something like that and you're like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's their dots.
Yeah,
we're up by the,
Oh, totally.
But those are those learning, because there's always that balance.
You want to keep the same aggressive mindset that is a part of our identity that got us to the lead to begin with, right?
I know.
But you also have to let the game situation dictate, and it's to me it's those it's the 50-50, right? Like, at a different point in the game, we might decide to go. The 1-goal lead 5 minutes ago, let's not go right now, right? Like those are same thing. A 2-on-2 line rush early in a game, you might live with a player trying to make a play there, and if he turns over, it's not the end of the world, and we'll learn from it moving forward. There's 3 minutes to go, and it's 2-on-2. Just put it behind him, right? Let's just put it behind him. It's not the time to try to make an additional move. So I just think, again, to your point, that's part of the growth of a player when they come to this league, and because the opponents are so good, everyone's so good. Mistakes hurt quickly, right? Like you can get away with a lot of mistakes in lower levels, but not here.
Got a pretty good combo of goaltenders.
Yeah, we talked about it last time after Corey played the Omaha game. Obviously had the overtime loss, but it turned out you don't know coming in. It turned out that the Sioux Falls game was the more difficult game. They had more jump and more energy and more push than Tri happened to have. Doesn't mean that'll be the case the next time, but and he did a nice job. I think that second one that you said is one that when he looks back, I know after talking to him that he wants that back. The first one's power play goal, that it's all good, and but statistically overall still ends up being a good game. The instat or the report we get from the from the analytics company has them as at 31 shots and 2 goals against. So it's statistically it's a good game and it's a win.
It was a win.
Yep.
4 points on the weekend. One more thing before we take a break. Let's talk about this. It was Pink of the Rink night Saturday. I haven't mentioned that, obviously, with you guys in Unity Point. What did Zoogers go for? 10 grand?
So his was that. I don't know if he's talking about for the very last.
No, I didn't.
It was Ben Poitras went for 22,000.
No.
And overall, I'm pretty sure it was $87,500 raised for an unbelievable cause. So
applaud the people.
Applaud the fans and people and everyone that came out and supported. And obviously, it's just such a great.
That's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable, and that might have been a single record for jerseys so far. And we couldn't be happier to be a part of such a great cause and being able to raise so much money and do our part to help with everything. So it was an amazing, great to win, and then great to be able to raise so much money.
Raise so much money, and maybe you raise that much money because you won. Because Krabby Fan does not want to write as big a check. I'm just kidding. I'm sure
certainly doesn't hurt.
Everyone's happy. Everyone's happy. By the way, top notch commercial on that one.
Oh, yes, that was a good one.
The acting abilities. I didn't know they were, aspiring actors on the team.
Yeah, we keep talking about that if we're not careful with some of these, we may lose some of our guys to Hollywood.
Not quite yet.
Yeah.
Stick with hockey, but you can try it on the side. Let's take a break. It is the Musketeer Coaches Show, brought to you by Bob Rose Point After, also Johnny Mars and Knife River Midwest on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS.
This is the Sioux City Musketeers Coaches Show. Now here's your host, Curtis Anderson.
Musketeer Coaches Show is right here at Bob Rose Point After. It's brought to you by Johnny Mars, also brought to you by Knife River Midwest. Curtis Anderson with you, along with the head coach of the Sioux City Musketeers and Jason Kersner. Musketeers now 2-3-2, 6 points, always about collecting points. And they collected 4 this last weekend. A lot of fun to be at home. This time around, though, it's going to be on the road, heading to the Fargo Force, a team they played. Team they lost to with 3 seconds left in overtime, so it has a little soreness to it. But a team, though, Coach, that seems to find ways to win because they're right there on the top.
Very good team. We liked our game that we played against them at home, knowing that they're such a good opponent. And again, it was a game that it was one of those close games, but one that we slightly did shoot them, outchance them, those kind of things, and then obviously the disappointing result at the finish of that overtime. But ton of respect for Fargo and their team, and this will be our obviously we had the pit trip and the solo and Omaha, but this will be kind of our first 2-game Western Conference road trip, and good experience and good test for us early to go to a really good team. Obviously a really good kind of building and fan base, and so it'll be a good challenge, a good test for us at this point, coming into the 8th game of the year, to see how we kind of match up. And to your point of soreness, I think as players and coaches, especially this time of year, you do have short memories. It's a little too early to be thinking about that, and
more things to worry about.
Yeah, and that's just back to some of the stuff we were talking about in the last segment, things that we got to do better and get better at, and but we know that we better be better at them because Fargo's good.
Well, they sit on the season 5-1-0-1, so they are collecting almost all their points. There's just missing 3 points total on it. Numbers for them, they're number 3 in the league in goals for at 414. The one that's scary is their goals against, because they got 2 returning veteran goaltenders. Goals against 1.86 is a big, small number.
Yeah, that's what for me, that's been more of the concern, is just how can you generate against them. They've done a really good job. And part of that is the forward group too. They possess the puck, they hold on to the puck, they don't give it right. It really is a, kind of all 5, to have that kind of number, you need good defensemen, you need good goaltending. But yeah, I mean, I think they've given up, 13 goals or something on the season. So, not easy to generate. So, it's one of those games where you're going to have to work really hard to get inside to generate some good chances, and then vice versa. You better keep it out of your net and keep it low scoring, because you're not. It's the odds that you're going to win the game 6-4 against Fargo aren't very high.
No, not unless something crazy happens.
Yep.
And their power play and penalty kill are solid.
Yep.
They're right in the middle of the league, basically. 24%, 80% on the penalty kill. Heck, they're middle of the league on penalties against.
Yeah.
I mean, those are numbers, so if it's high and all that stuff. But what I remember in that game was Knubel, Link, Turner, Smolin, Yavash, and Wallows, as those are veteran returners, and that's why we see teams strong early on as those veteran returners.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree, and I would say that is the strength of their team. That's, for us, especially on the road, as we're kind of, trying to continue to grow into our identity, I'm just really, and I know the guys are really excited about the competitive challenge against this team because of those returners and how good they are. And I think I'm a New York Giants fan, and I was reading quite a few articles this week on the on the kind of the surprise start that we've had, and new coaching staff. And one of the terms that Brian Dabble has brought to the team is competitive stamina. So I introduced that to the team this week, because that's really kind of where we've been lacking. We've kind of figured out the term that we had been using was competitive urgency, which speaks a lot to obviously being able to start on time. And now we're scoring the first goal, and we feel like we've been more competitive even our practices, the urgency has kind of gotten up to a
Let's
place.
go.
Yep, to where we want it to be. The cool thought of that term, competitive stamina, is: are you physically and mentally tough enough to compete for 60 minutes, no matter the circumstance?
Not even if you let's go now, we got to keep
We
going.
got to keep going. Whatever the situation, whatever the score, can we do that? And when you look back at, like even our Sioux Falls weekend, like the Sioux Falls game, we played really, really good hockey for 45 or 50 minutes. But it's those little breaks that we took off that next thing you know, like it's a one-shot game all over again.
Good cost, yeah.
Could have been, costly in terms of points. So, and that's what Fargo's going to be. I mean, Fargo, to your point of those returners and their depth and the start that they're on, we're going to need competitive stamina for 60 minutes. Without it, it's going to be tough to walk out of there with points.
Well, I tell you what, if you possess the puck like you did on Friday, I think you're going to be in good shape because they won't have all those scoring chances.
That's true.
in the possession of the puck, and it's interesting because it's so interesting. I don't know how to compare it. Do you compare it like a sustained drive in football down the field, not a home run hit, but just to keep relentlessly punching you in the gut?
Yeah, for sure. And I think we talk about those buzzwords: hard, fast, relentless, and team first. And that game really was, we'll go back and use that as kind of an example.
Here it comes again.
Yeah, exactly. And we talk a lot too about setting the next line up for success, and that's where you can kind of feel relentless. And to your point earlier, of 5 different scores and stuff, everybody's trying to set the next line up. You don't want to leave the next line a mess, right? Where you're just kind of you're tired, you're in trouble, it's in your zone, you're desperately trying to get off, and now I come off the bench. And I got 5 guys coming full speed right at me, right? Like, you haven't really set me up. But in that Tri-City game, to your point of relentless,
you were making line changes, still sustaining forecheck.
Still sustaining pressure, forecheck, in zone offense, all of those things, and that's how you set the next group up. Now my group coming on is playing against tired Tri-City Storm guys, and you give us a chance, right? So it's, you could think baseball just down the line, right? Like just get it to the next guy, and
here
that's
we go,
where,
and here we go, and here we go.
And I thought we did a really good job of that. And again, whether it turns into 5 goals or not in Fargo, because they're hard to score against, we need that same mentality against Fargo to possess the puck, set the next line up, and make it hard for them to have as much success as.
This is the Sioux City Musketeers Coaches Show. Now here's your host, Curtis Anderson.
Musketeer Coaches Show right here at Bob Rose Point After. It's also brought to you by Johnny Mars and Knife River Midwest. Curtis Anderson with the head coach of the Sioux City Musketeers and Jason Kersner. This is a segment we hate or love. Let's start with the love. Ty Hansen, who's been out for quite some time, could be seeing him.
Yeah, he officially gets off injured reserve. I think yesterday was the official date that he was allowed back on. So obviously a young player, but one that had been around last year and got a little time and was around the team when everything was going on. So for a young guy, he has a little bit of taste of it, a little bit of experience about it, and a player that we were all really excited to coach. And it was unfortunate for a young guy to miss some of that kind of preseason and some of those early games, but he's a great kid. He's a great player. He's a big time competitor, and I know the term pit bull is often around him. So I know we're all excited to have him back and be a part of our lineup.
He can make the pass. He can skate.
Yeah,
I mean, he's got a lot of tools there.
Yeah, he does.
Finn Loftus, a lot of people saw him having a very hard time getting off the ice after he blocked that shot. Can almost feel his pain. I think everyone could feel it because it was a rocket.
Yeah.
And but he's okay.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, the penalty kill and the D, especially as you're kind of hanging on to some leads, you need some of those big block shots.
Take it for the team.
Yeah, and I really did think Finn actually had a really good weekend of doing that for it and sacrificing. And as a group, like you said, take it for the team. You want to embrace that sacrifice. And he was one of many guys that I think really showed that level of commitment to winning. And but luckily nothing serious, and he's good to go.
Nick Pierre
Nick Vieira had an upper body injury, and unfortunately, we missed him last weekend. And to be able to win and have some good moments without him, I think says a lot about the group. But he's good. He's back. He's feeling well. And we look forward to inserting him back in the lineup this weekend.
Good. So it's seeing all these positive things.
That's right.
Okay, then Riley Bruick.
Riley Bruick, we don't know. A little still kind of. It's been kind of a season-long kind of lower body issue that he's been successfully dealing with, and it's worse at times. And so we weren't able to use him last weekend, and we're still kind of waiting. To your point earlier, he's a big body, and he really had gotten off to a nice start for us and was carving out a nice niche. So we miss him, and we look forward to hopefully getting him back as soon as we can.
Another bright guy that has been playing well, but Graydon Dahl.
Yeah, we don't feel great about that one. We're waiting on test results. Some lower body injury. I do think we'll miss him for a little bit. And to your point, he was playing really well. I think when he first got here, he was maybe struggling a little bit with
trying to figure it out
just with that adjustment, just level jumping. But then you look back at his last couple of weeks, and he had been eating some minutes and really playing some good hockey for us. So. It's like you said, that's the segment, right? It's the love-hate, it's the good and the bad. Dahl will be out, Hansen comes in. So, we get kind of a one for one.
At least, yeah.
Yeah, at least a 1-for-1 swap there. It would be great. Yeah, as a coach, you kind of want to see what you have, right? Like, and we haven't had a chance where they've both been able to play or everybody's been healthy. So, but we're no different than anyone else. This is the kind of the nature of the beast, and the to your point, the part that just sucks out of this level in this sport. Guys it'll be a season-long thing. This is where we are now, and there'll be ups and downs with injuries, and you hope nothing serious happens to your guys throughout the year, and they get a chance to continue to develop and grow and help the team. But this is just the reality of it, and you have that next man up mentality.
Everyone else, okay, at least. I mean, there's always bumps and bruises.
Yeah, there's bumps and bruises.
But everyone's at least able to play this coming week.
Everyone else, besides the question marks that we're waiting to hear on, is okay. And, we do have a lot of, I know you'll talk about it here. We got a lot of hockey coming up. So we have the 2 in Fargo, but then
Wednesday.
Then we have a Wednesday
morning.
That's right. I know we're excited about that. I think we're looking for basically a packed house.
Next week, Wednesday, by the way.
Wednesday, 11 a.m. school day game. I think there's already...
School can come out. Can regular people come out?
Yeah, regular people. Yeah, both. I think
my wife wants to skip work.
I think we have already over 4,500 students.
Awesome.
So we're looking forward to it.
Perfect. Coach, we'll see you up in the Great White North.
Looking forward to it.
All right, Fargo Friday, Fargo Saturday, of course, on KMNS iHeartRadio, and then on Flow Hockey as well. The Musketeer Coaches Show, Fox Sports Radio 620, KMNS, Sioux City.